welcome to a new episode of Hallmark Heartbeats, a podcast all about Hallmark movies. I am your host, Camille, and again, I am joined by my friend Kayla. We will be reviewing Christmas movies together, and we are back from earlier this week where we talked about boyfriends of Christmas past and Yumi and Christmas trees. And, it still is a mystery to me how people like Yumi and Christmas trees. I'm like, everyone is still saying that they like the movie. I'm like, hi.
Yeah, I'm still sitting here going, I was bored out of my mind. I don't understand the plot line, and the writing fell apart. I mean, I just didn't understand it, I guess, but whatever.
Well, that is going to be Danica's last Christmas movie for at least a year. For at least next year, because she signed up with the other channel for it's so funny because everyone is panicking. Like TV Line put out a article about it saying that she jumped ship. And I'm like, that is such a misleading article misleading title, because I'm sitting there going, oh, okay, so the rest of your article is saying that it was only for 1 year. So why do you say she's jumped ship? Like she's gone forever after that.
Yeah, and they're trying to scare the diehard Hallmark fans to thinking all these actors are leaving and stuff.
I doubt the channel is going to even last. Number one. Number two, it's only for a year. I mean, here's the thing. People are so crazy. And then someone was like, what's happening at Hallmark? Why is everybody leaving? I'm like, nothing is happening at Hallmark. They are thriving. They're happy. I told somebody this before when Lori Loughlin joined that channel and stuff. I was like, this is reminding me of, I don't know if you're a wrestling fan, but I'm
not.
Well, do you know anybody who's a wrestling fan?
My grandfather was, my step-grandfather was. He loved wrestling.
So back in the 90s, there used to be two wrestling promotions, WWF, which is now WWE, and WCW. They used to have a team. They used to have one of their wrestling shows on the same night at the same time, which was Monday Night Raw and Monday Night Raw and Monday Nitro. It's confusing. So anyway, they called it the Monday Night Wars. What started happening was WCW was pretty much signing on all of the old wrestlers that WWE let go of, which brought some of the audience from WWE to WCW. But WWE was like, okay, fine, we're done with them anyway, so you can have them. And they started new talent. They started getting new wrestlers trained or whatever on the TV show, while the WCW kept attracting all the old talent. So that's let me put it this way. WCW did have ratings spiked for 2 years or something like that. But there's only one company still standing, and that's WWE. So I'm using that analogy to say Hallmark is WWE.
I get your analogy, yes. I remember when I would go visit my pop, we called him Pops. When we go see Pops, and if it was Monday night, he'd be like, I'm watching my wrestling, bye. Pretty much, yeah.
But yeah, it was when I'm saying that that JC is taking the older talent that Hallmark has gotten rid of already, and Hallmark is introducing new talent. That's why I'm saying Hallmark is the WWE and the other channels WCW, and there's only one left standing now 20 years later. So I'm not worried at all. Anyway, that is all that we're going to be talking about that channel. If you guys want to talk about that other channel, y'all can go listen to the other podcasts. It's so fun.
But we will not be talking about it or watching those movies here.
Yeah, because we're LGBTQ Alex.
Yes.
And we're also Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, I was going to say we're Black Lives Matter.
Sid, the first movie we are going to be talking about is the Santa Stakeout. It stars Tamera Mowry Housley. Her character's name is Tanya Morris, even though like undercover her name was Tasha. And then it also starred Paul Campbell. His character's name was Ryan Anderson, even though undercover he was called Rupert. And big movie star name was also in this movie, Joe Pantoliano.
I think he's Italian, right?
Yeah, I'm hoping I'm getting it right. But his name was his character's name was Francis Miller. And I am just gonna like create my own synopsis of this movie because my phone is all the way over there and I do not have the official synopsis. But it's pretty much these two cops, you know, one is a rookie cop and one is a detective who like goes undercover because, you know, they hear about this art sting thing where there's like somebody stealing different art pieces all over town or whatever. So they have a suspect, which is Francis Miller, who's played Santa in all of these, you know, events where they steal the art was stolen or whatever. And yeah, they go undercover as a married couple, Tasha and Rupert. I love this movie. This was comedy.
Yes, this was. I laughed. Yeah, definitely.
Yes, and it was like I honestly feel like it really was so good for Paul and Tamera because they had like they brought their comedic chops, and it wasn't even like overtly funny thing, but they would like have these like little funny moments where if you miss it, you know, if you are not looking for it, you miss it kind of thing. It's so hilarious. Like one of my favorite comedic moments was when they were at the dinner scene or whatever, I think it was Tamera was like kind of Tasha was kind of telling the story of how Rupert proposed to her, you know, and she was going extravagant over it or whatever. And so like Rupert stopped her, and one of the neighbors was like, "Oh, you guys seem so perfect together." And Tasha was like, "Yeah, we finish each other's." And there was like this long pause because, you know, you usually expect your partner to say sentences, right? Because that's what happens. And like Rupert totally did not say it. He was eating and minding his business. So Tasha had to elbow him, and he was like, "What?" He was like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah. But they brought in some. They were able to like get closer and actually bring parts of their real life Christmas memories out, like the eggnog and the hard eggnog, because the eggnog that I'm used to drinking is completely alcohol free because I can't drink. But yeah. So
I just love how like what was it called? A lot of people were like, "Oh, I want to do a romantic Christmas movie storyline where like, you know, girl comes back home from wherever from a big city and falls in love with her like childhood best friend or her boyfriend or whatever. So I'm like, this is Hallmark like going, no, we are not doing.
Yeah, this was refreshing to see this plot line. Like, yeah, there was still the romantic stuff that was at the end of the movie, but like it was just refreshing to not see the old rehashed storyline over and over and again. And I really like the fact that they're changing things up some.
Yep. And
I also liked the fact that the guy that you thought was the bad guy wasn't the bad guy.
Yes.
That was a good plot twist.
That was yes, because like Francis was the one. I felt so bad for Francis. I felt horrible for him because this guy, is a really nice guy. I also felt
he loves Christmas.
Yeah, his nickname was Mr. Christmas. He was like,
he was a widower, right?
Huh?
He was a widower. He lost his wife. Yeah,
and he had a criminal history in the back before of like theft or whatever. But his wife, changed his life, kind of thing. And he had been out of jail for a long time, and he'd been, like they said in the beginning of the movie, a model citizen. And like all throughout the movie, you kind of fall in love with this guy because he's all you see is he's so good and he's so innocent, and he's like inviting his neighbors over and like helping them out and stuff. And we find out later that he was helping to renovate a house for a family who wouldn't be able to afford it, and giving like a former convict like himself a second chance that nobody else was going to be able, that he was having a hard time, himself finding or whatever. And he was like a genuine good guy, but like his past made him a suspect, and the woman who we find out later was the actual thief. She was his boss, I guess. She was the person who was sending him to these jobs. Mm-hmm. And he was the one, and she was the one who, took advantage of his history as a criminal. It was like, okay, maybe have him do these jobs, make him be the suspect, and people won't know at all it's me, kind of thing. Which almost worked. Thank God it did not. But poor guy.
Ingenious plot twist. I mean, I would have never thought, like in the past, I don't think that plot twist would have happened. They would have just had this guy with this past be the bad guy. But I was just like, that's ingenious. See, this was well written. This was well done, and so that's probably one of the chemistry between Paul and Tamera, and then the plot twist, the way it was written, was probably the two main reasons I love this movie.
I just love the comedy. The comedy was hilarious. I mean, they were doing like the charades where he was like jumping up and down as a snow angel. And I saw someone tweeted out that because Francis kept getting packages from like UPS or whatever. Someone was saying that, because I'm getting my Amazon orders or whatever, I must be suspect too. But yeah, and then all the neighbors were there too and stuff. The neighbors were fun. I have to say that the neighbors, I was thinking it was one of the neighbors. So the neighbors were like a bit iffy.
I also liked that at the end, he kept the house, like he kept renting the house.
I know.
Yeah, I was like, he could have just hung it up and going back to his normal life, but he didn't. And he's like, I really like it here, and kept renting the house.
I know. That is so cute. And what's his name? All of the little things that there was so many little things that was going on in this movie. It was so hilarious. One thing that I wanted to point out is, okay, so they went to the house, not at first as undercover. They were just there for surveilling, right? They were just, because Francis's house was right next door. They were just looking out the window or whatever. What triggered them to go undercover was Tanya got locked out of the house, right? So Ryan locked her out. And she goes and starts yelling at the door, pounding at the door, Ryan. And then the neighbor comes and catches her or whatever. And I laughed so hard because the neighbor probably heard the girl saying over and over again, Ryan at the door. But when they introduced themselves, she changed the name to Rupert. So I'm sitting there going like, you could have at least kept the name Ryan. You were standing on the porch for the past 5 minutes yelling his name while the guy was standing there.
And then when they're singing Christmas carols or something, and his badge falls out of his pocket,
and she belts out in song. I was like, yes, finally, this is the girl that we know from middle school. So,
yeah.
For those
Let her use her talents, yes.
For those who don't know, research Tia and Tamera on YouTube, sister, whatever you want to call it.
They also did quite a few movies for the Disney Channel.
Yeah. Twitches 2. Her brother, which
are appropriate to watch too. This time of year.
I know. Do they still? I haven't.
It's on Disney Plus. Channel. It's on Disney.
Yeah, but
Plus.
I mean, like, is it on like the actual Disney Channel? That just
I don't
Disney
know.
Plus?
I don't know.
I haven't seen. I don't. Hocus Pocus is also my regular Halloween movies. Yes. But yeah. Twitches and Twitches 2 were good movies with the two sisters.
Yeah.
But I want a Tamera and Tia Christmas movie. Hallmark Christmas
that would be awesome, yeah.
That would break the internet, generate Gen X, all of the people that our age. What are we?
Gen X and millennials.
Yeah,
I'm a millennial.
We'd all break the internet. Oh my God! We're having a sister reunion and stuff. But yeah, what's so funny is like that's the mole that Tamera had was the only way that I knew which of the sisters it was, because Tamera had the mole and Tia did not. I don't know if Tamera still has the mole, but yeah, that was the only way I knew who was who. Anyway, any more about that movie that you want to talk about?
Not really. I mean, I thought it was a differently written movie, especially with the plot twist and the way they did the comedy and everything. It was different, and I like seeing that.
I do have to say that the fake snow, they're doing digital snow now for the scenes.
I noticed, I guess it's because I do a lot of editing and graphic work, and I'm sitting here going, dude, you can't do something to make it look real. Like, I know you're filming in like August in the middle of a heat wave, but seriously, there's things that make this look more legitimate than this fake CGI crap. Okay, sorry. But
it did look like, one of those TikTok special effects that you get on.
Yeah, I could tell it. I was like, that's definitely computer generated.
But yeah, there was there's actually a call for this to become a series, like a Hallmark movie mystery series, which I would totally watch. I would, as long as it stays comedy and it's like the whole mood of it stays the same, I would totally be for it being a series because it's so hilarious. Also, for those who are skeptical about Hallmark TV ratings, this was the highest rated movie on Sunday night for cable. So number 11.
It's pretty good for a Sunday night.
Yeah, number 11 for cable ratings. So awesome! Woohoo! Hallmark killing it. Anyway.
Yep. It was this. Before we go to the next movie, this was like because 3 out of the third one out of the 4 movies because the reason why I say that is because I love Boyfriend's Christmas Past, and the movie we're about to talk about more than this one. So
this is like far from number 4 though. Like it's closer to top 3.
This is like the top 3 are so close with each other that there really is barely any difference, and then there's number 4 on the opposite end of the spectrum. Yeah.
But no, I agree. But how many stars would you give this out of 5?
I'd say about 4.
Really? I would give it like 3.5. I like the comedy was good and the uniqueness of the storyline and the chemistry. But yeah, I'm happy though that Hallmark is like branching out to comedy and not just romance and love and whatever else. It's hilarious. This is really good.
Yeah.
Okay, so next movie. This is like 3 pages.
It was a beautiful movie. Christmas in My Heart was just breathtakingly beautiful.
Oh my God. Christmas in My Heart, perfection. I don't know. Here's the thing. I listen to my friend's podcast, Dear Hallmark, and she is, I believe, the only or like one of the few podcasts for Hallmark that is Black. And I usually don't promote other people's podcasts or whatever, but you guys like need to go listen to her to really get the full impact of the conversation with the grandmother and the granddaughter about the Black girl's hair. Because neither of us are Black. We can only talk about it really from an outsider's perspective. But
yeah, neither one of us could probably do justice to that. But I've listened to what she said, and I sat there watching that scene with the grandmother asking her what she wanted to do with her hair, and I was like, and then she was like, "You just be yourself, even if she's like, I wanted to look professional," and she's like, grandma's just like, just be yourself. And she's talking about her hair being, if you want to wear it natural, just wear it natural. I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen a conversation like this about natural Black hair in a Hallmark movie before.
Yeah. Here's the thing. This is
brutally impressed by it.
Something people don't understand, and people maybe in denial of, I don't know, or closed-minded about, is that Eurocentric features have been for centuries looked at as the standard of beauty. That means straight hair, sometimes blonde, fairer skin, that kind of thing, right? Black girls is the total opposite. Their natural hair is usually like kinky and, their natural hair is looked at as unprofessional, which this movie kind of addressed, where she said, "I want my hair slicked back because it looks more professional," which implies that her natural hair is not. You know what I mean? That's why the grandma was like, absolutely. Who told you that? social media. But this is, people don't realize that it's still legal for in some states to discriminate against Black people's hair, natural hair. Yeah. It was only just made illegal. Like they only just passed laws in some states to make it illegal to discriminate. So that means that all this time, until like maybe in the past 2 years, it was legal to discriminate all 50 states. You know what I mean?
And it's just absolutely horrible considering how far we've come, but how far we still need to go with that. But yeah, I thought it was beautiful. And this little girl, like, okay, this little girl, like, for one, I've brought it up before, I was raised by my dad. So I saw part of myself in her because she had a single father. And he's trying to just be a good dad, but he's famous.
Not just that, but I want to point out something. She's biracial, but Black, presenting Black.
Yes.
He's white. There's a small scene where she says to her dad in the garage, I feel like I relate to my mom more than I relate to you. And I feel bad about that because you're here and she's not. She passed away earlier, in like at least 3 years before the movie.
Yeah, he says it's like something like 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah. They did not say it in the movie, but I am assuming the main reason why she does not relate to, she relates more to her mom than her dad is because her mom is Black. She's Black. There, as much as we want to say that we don't see color, as much as we want to say love has no color, whatever, there is a difference really that you cannot relate to with your child if you're not racially the same, if that makes sense.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
I talk about it. I'm going to talk about it as a Filipino girl that was raised by a Black family. I love my family. I love my parents. They are wonderful. They are great. They are beautiful. I don't regret my childhood. But there was always a disconnect between me and my family in the sense that they don't know my culture. You know what I mean? They don't know Filipino culture. And I really didn't get to learn my culture until I grew out of foster care and moved back with my biological parents. I love my foster parents. I got to learn from them and I got to understand from their point of view, and I got to be immersed in the Black culture as much as I could be. But there's still that disconnect in a way because they are not Filipino, and I wasn't really fully able to embrace that. So I guess in that sense, I can relate because love is love. Love has no color. You can love your child who looks nothing like you, but there's still gonna be some discussions, some topics that you cannot relate to. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because you're not of their race.
I get that. And like, luckily this little girl does have her maternal grandmother. Yes. And the grandmother goes to the dad, and she's like, she notices the differences and you need to talk to her, you know.
Yep.
So the grandmother pointed it out to him that he needs to talk to her about it.
Okay, before we go further, let's talk about I want to list the cast members. Luke McFarlane, I love him. He's awesome. He's great. I like high praise. Nothing wrong with him. He's a wonderful actor. And I honestly cannot wait till this man plays a gay man on Hallmark. The guy has been playing straight all this time, and I feel like let the dude be gay, okay? he's out. He's out and proud. He's been out and proud for almost a decade. I feel like he's really the only person I think. I mean, I don't know, but yeah, let him be gay. Hallmark. He plays Sean Grant, who is country music artist. Heather Hemmens, it played Beth. She's a professional violinist. We will be talking about her a little bit more. Cheryl Lee Ralph is Grandma Ruthie. That is the maternal grandmother who helps raise Katie, the little girl. And then Maria Nash is the played Katie Grant. So that's the little girl. That's Sean Grant's daughter.
And Sean's manager.
Yeah, I didn't get his name. Did you get his name?
Hesh? No, I didn't.
Hamish.
Yeah, but his manager is in the movie is Jewish.
Yeah,
and they bring up the Hanukkah plotline in the midst of this Christmas movie, which I thought was beautiful.
Yeah, I just feel like I put this on my Instagram stories. There is a saying that says it takes a village to raise a child, and Katie's village is very diverse. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? She got her grandmom, she got her daddy, and then she got her dad's friend, her uncle.
Yeah, she calls him her uncle. Yeah.
Yeah. So Hirsch, that's his name. Hirsch,
yes.
Yeah. So anyway.
But he's Jewish, and he brings in that.
Yeah, he brings in her Hanukkah gifts or whatever. Yeah. For those who don't know, there are 8 nights of Hanukkah, and for each night you get a gift or whatever. It's one gift. So her first night gift of Hanukkah was drumsticks, and like the second night was the drum set. like different pieces of the drum set. I'm assuming that throughout the 8 days, there's like a different drum set that's on there that she makes or whatever. But yeah, so she at least gets that diversity in her life as well. I want to talk about Beth and her relationship with Katie. Beth is like top-notch violinist, or whatever. She's also biracial. So she is, I don't think it would be a stretch to say like the older generation of Katie, like the future of Katie. Because in a way, because her story is very similar to Katie, where her mom died as well. Her dad is white, and stuff like that.
And then there's the music aspect of everything.
Both play violin and stuff. So anyway, Sean and Beth met at a music store where Sean was trying to get like some music sheets for his daughter who was playing violin and needed practice for a musical recital. Beth was there, so she helped him. Sean, I guess, got her phone number for violin lessons, and at first she rejected it, like, oh, I'm too busy or whatever. But Katie was like, no, come, I need violin lessons, because she got a hold of his phone. And anyway, she came. That's pretty much the beginning of Beth, Katie, and Sean's relationship. I have to say, another thing that I got emotional in was when Katie was telling Beth that when she was looking on YouTube for the top violinists, to look up to or whatever, she didn't have anyone that looked like her. So when she saw Beth doing her performance with the quartet or whatever, it was like, oh, there's someone who looks like me. And that's why I tell people all the time, representation is so important, because it's not for yourself, it's for your next generation, because the next generation is just looking for someone to, inspire. And if there's no one that looks like them, then they're gonna be like, they might feel discouraged. And I get it, there are people like Beth who's like, oh, make your path, be the first or whatever. Somebody's got to be the first. But a lot of people are not like Beth, who they need someone who kind of, looks like the same. That's why I get so angry when I hear people say stuff like, oh, LGBTQ should not be on the show, or the movies or whatever, or these people should get representation or whatever. I'm like,
absolutely get representation. There's a whole new generation where it's more open than ever and accepted than ever, and they need to see their culture in movies and in TV shows, or they won't be able to accept themselves and be able to live the life that they deserve.
I want Hallmark to do that. I want Hallmark to take the next step to also do a disabled person.
Yes, absolutely. Agreed.
But yeah. But yes, you guys, do never say like representation doesn't matter, or diversity doesn't matter, because number one, usually those people who have that thought process never really was lacking it in the first place. Like, you know what I mean? The other thing, several things else that stood out about this movie, Sean, I guess, was starting to have feelings for Beth, but he was scared, rightfully so, I think, because, people might say that 3 years is enough time to, move on or whatever, but also at the same time, no, there's no time.
Everyone grieves on their own time. Yeah. We've talked about this on the other podcast. This exact thing has just made its appearance. But the thing is, everyone grieves on their own time. So there's no set time frame for moving on from losing your spouse. Yep. And this movie shows how all these different characters were dealing with the grief of losing one person across multiple generations, because older generations don't grieve the same as the younger ones do.
Yeah.
So I really loved that aspect as well.
Well, Sean, I guess, kind of talked to Grandma Ruthie about it. And one thing that she said to him is, you can't just be here. You have to live here. Yeah, there's not just live like this is my house and this is my address kind of thing, but actually have a life, enjoy the outdoors, or, go out on dates or whatever. Because I guess Sean was a recluse all this time for 3 years in that big farm. Did she say 150 acres?
Yeah, it had a lot. I mean, they're in the middle of West Virginia, for one. So that's the hills, okay? And then he's a recluse because he lost his wife, but he was also actually a famous country singer. So he's trying to hide from his fame too, and just make sure his daughter has some form of a normal life.
That's what got on my nerves too. I am glad that they actually showed this. But when he went to Beth's concert, there goes the paparazzi trying to take a picture of him and the little girl. And I am unless you saw it, you would have missed it. But he did like, try to cover his daughter and try to protect his daughter and stuff from it. But I mean, it's just, there's this video on TikTok right now. I don't know, of Maroon 5, Adam Levine. And this fan jumped up on the stage and started it just grabbed him and hugged him or whatever. The security tried, pulled her off. And then he had this reaction. A lot of TikTokers were like, a lot of people in the comment section were like, oh, he's overreacting, or what did he expect? He's famous. He shouldn't have reacted like that. Or he
is on stage performing. That there's a divide.
Yes. And also he doesn't want to be touched, and he has a right to not be touched.
And we're in the middle of a pandemic with a virus that if you touch someone can transfer it.
Yeah, and it's not just that, but I mean, it's like people seem to think that when you're in the public eye, your rights are okay to be violated. You're okay to be violated. You asked for this. You're part of the public eye. I can do this to you or whatever. So
they still have rights to their personal lives.
Yes, they're humans. I mean, that's one thing that creeps me out about the paparazzi and stuff. When they take personal pictures, or they take pictures that you can tell should not be in magazines or whatever. It perpetuates this idea that just because you're in the public eye, you have no right to yourself.
I mean, how would these people feel if that was done to them? I'm pretty sure they wouldn't like it too much. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's why I always say, put yourselves in someone else's shoes to see how it so I understand why he was so hesitant, because he wanted his daughter to feel normal.
And to protect her from paparazzi like that.
Yeah, absolutely. There was another thing, and I saw this comment on the groups, was he obviously spoke it with the act in this movie. And they were complaining he didn't do it very well, but I'm sitting here going, I sound like that. I lived out here in the South where I'm around all these rednecks and white trash. I sound like that. He's actually Canadian.
Yeah, so he's a Canadian trying to have a southern accent. I think he's done quite well.
He's from Ontario, Canada. But I thought he did a phenomenal job. I mean, I'm a Southern girl, and I'm around people who totally that all the time. So when I say this, I think he did a phenomenal job trying to do American Southern accent.
Yeah, especially for a Canadian. I mean, dude. Also, Luke, if you are listening, by any chance, which probably no chance you're listening, you need to release that music. You need to release that song that you sang in the movie so we can hear it, we can buy it.
I mean, here's the thing, I am a huge country music fan. That's what I listen to. Okay. So that was another thing. I know this genre. I grew up with it and I still listen to it. So I have
to say, it was funny when Beth was like, what is it? My wife, my dog.
There's the country music has a thing. It's about trucks and cheating and
my dog, my truck, my woman,
dog. Yeah. And the modern stuff is, I mean, I don't listen to modern country by any means, but I do love the 90s stuff. So that's where I grew up.
That's so modern, okay?
Not compared to the new stuff. The new stuff isn't even country.
Yeah, but the 90s. If you say that 90s is not modern, that makes me even feel older.
I know, but it's not. Okay.
It's not ancient.
It's not ancient because I was born in 89. But it's what I grew up listening to. But that's just the kind of stuff I grew up with. So I'm just saying that I was like, I really like that. But I like the fact that he finally built a recording studio in his barn. I was like, dude.
You have like 150 acres. You can't build a studio.
You don't have a recording studio? Really?
Yeah, like I couldn't understand that. I was sitting there going, like, you have 150 acres in the middle of nowhere in Virginia or whatever. You're gonna have to move to like where? Nashville to record. You couldn't just like take a little corner of the 150 acres.
And as much as I loved Nashville when I went there, like that's like he's gonna uproot his daughter's education for all that. Like no, like she's learning to play the violin and everything. No, just and there's a difference between the violin and the fiddle. I can promise you. I will say that the classical violin is a completely different ballgame than playing the fiddle.
But isn't it practically the same instrument?
It's the same instrument, but it's how it's played.
So a violin is a fiddle when it's playing country music, and a violin is a violin when it's playing
classical music. And here's the thing: when I was a kid, I actually tried to learn how to do the basics on the violin. It's way harder than people give credit for. I played the clarinet and the violin as a kid, and believe me, people make playing these instruments out look like they're easy. No, they're not.
No. And here's the thing. This is another thing that the movie sort of touched upon when they were mentioning that there were few Black top violinists. Violin lessons are expensive. Private lessons, number one. Number two, when you get budget cuts in public schools, usually the very first thing that they cut
music and art
programs. Yeah. Number three, what population, what race, population, whatever, is going to probably be most affected by the budget cuts in public schools.
And it's the African American population.
Yeah. Plus add to that the wage gap and whatever else, so kind of thing. Violin lessons isn't exactly a priority, you know what I mean? I also did like that they had gospel music in the church.
Yeah, I thought that was a good thing, because gospel and country are kind of linked to each other anyway.
They do. They are. There's a very correct correlation between country and gospel music. So
I mean, that's what I grew up with. So yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of gospel musics that have been made into country music kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And stuff. So, but yeah, and so like one of my favorite, it's just there's a lot of correlation to Black gospel music. And I don't want to say it's like a race thing or whatever, but it is.
It is, yeah.
Black gospel music does not sound the same as white church music.
Yes. Absolutely loved the movie. It was perfection.
Jesus, I cried so much in this movie. It's gonna be hard to top this one.
I agree.
I was telling my friend Dara, I was like, this movie would not have happened at all if Wonya Lucas, who is the current CEO of Hallmark, wasn't CEO.
Absolutely agree.
Especially the discussion about Black girl hair, Black girl discrimination with the Black girl hair, etc. None of that would happen. I mean, you guys need to go listen to Dear Hallmark. That's my friend. I love her to death. She's Black, and she can tell you in a better way. Number one, the cultural significance of Black people hair. Number two, how it impacted her. You know, hearing the words cornrows and, you know, braids and stuff, those kind of things. It's just, y'all need to go listen to it. Not gonna lie to you, I don't like peddling other podcasts, but you guys really need to listen to that one and talk to her about, listen to her podcast. The other thing that I do want to talk about is the very end when they had the concert and the girl was got nervous and was alone or whatever, and then like Beth and Sean joined her on stage. I thought that was sweet that they did that, and Cheryl Lee Ralph, who is a Broadway actress, so she can sing, got up and joined them and sang as well. We wish you a Merry Christmas, which was really cute. It gave me a little bit of Sound of Music vibes.
Yeah.
And you know, okay, so my question to you is country versus classic. Which one was your favorite, personally?
Like the music wise?
Yes. Are you a country fan or
I've been exposed to both of them. I mean, I grew up listening to country music. But I was learning how to play classical violin. So at one point in my life, believe me, I have no memory of how to do it. Okay. My musical abilities have faded over time, especially from seriously, my dad bought me a guitar because my dad plays guitar. My dad bought me a guitar for Christmas one year. It's still sitting in the stand at my parents' house. And my dad told I said, look, you can play it. You know how. Your guitar is over 40 years old at this point. Play the new one.
Oh my God, that is too funny. No, we have but I used to play the flute and the piano. And yeah, classic music was like my
well, no, like it plays between, because like my dad likes listening to like NPR and stuff like that. And so they play a lot of, classical music.
Yeah.
And so there was always that. Plus, I went to a liberal arts college, so the music program was kind of like huge.
Oh, that's about it for this one. How many stars would you give this one?
4.5 to 5. I don't really want to say it was. I love it. It was, in my opinion, the perfection of everything. But I have trouble truly giving it 5. So maybe not even 4.5, maybe 4 and like 0.8.
5 minus a smidge.
Yeah, it's a little smidge lower than 5, like 4.8.
I give it like all of the stars. I can't even. No, I mean, like, I wanted this podcast to highlight diversity. I wanted to highlight and celebrate the steps Hallmark has taken when it comes to diversity. This is on my media kit. You've seen my media kit.
Because I had to make one for the other podcast.
Yes,
like, what the world?
It's like literally the top of my media kit. This podcast is to highlight the diversity in Hallmark and the steps it has taken to do that. And this is the epitome of exactly what my podcast is supposed to do. This is like, I feel like, yay, mission accomplished. This is perfection. Like, what? This is exactly what I started my podcast for, is to highlight diversity. And I was just expecting you to like finally add Black people and people of color in your movies, but no, you went like a step further and just blew me away to the point where I'm like, whoa, how? Wait, what did that just happen? Because it went from a whitewashed channel that barely recognized people of color and always relegated them to best friend concierge roles to like, we are going to talk about Black people. We are going to not only talk about Black people, but
the culture that's shown in the movies, yes. And talking about hair.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about discrimination, and we're going to like, we're not
seeing yourself in
the names, but we're gonna like, highlight it. And I'm sitting there going, dude, you went from what I've been asking for and sort of been advocating for myself in this podcast, and not just did that, but like, boom. Like, and it's just like, Dara said it best when she said, never, ever, ever did I think this movie would happen. Never, ever did I think that I would hear these words. Never, ever did I think that. And several Black people on Twitter and on Facebook, etc., have that same reaction to Christmas in My Heart. So, and I'm not even Black, and I can't even, and I'm impressed by it. So I
can tell you the story. I was watching the movie and I'm sitting there, I was watching it in my bed and I'm sitting there, and that scene with the grandmother talking about the hair comes on, and I'm like, am I watching a Hallmark movie? It was just like, and I actually started clapping and going, yes, that's exactly what I need to be seeing in these movies. So I was really cheering for that scene.
I know. But the thing about it is it's not even just that scene. It's like they did little bits and pieces all throughout the film that was still part
think
of
about
Black
it, like
culture.
the Christmas angel.
Hello.
This little girl had never seen herself in the tree topper that was on top of the Christmas tree.
Okay, I'm gonna send my mom this podcast, especially since I'm talking about her a lot and how much I love her. My foster mom. When we were little, all of the angel toppers were like blonde and white.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
My foster mom bought a white angel and she painted the angel black and stuff. So every year it was her, and also she had, but she didn't have the angel that had black hair. But so every year she did have angel that was black too, because I mean it's weird to have a white Christmas angel topper if your family is Black, like but so I can relate to that angel storyline as well, because that's what my mom and my
I saw that and I was like, yeah, I mean,
it makes sense.
It makes sense.
Girl, why haven't there been Black angels or Asian angels or Hispanic, whatever, dolls for people? I mean, here's the thing: if you're gonna angels, no. I'm glad that like they're going, no, we are not putting a white angel up on the tree. But yeah, it's and also, did you notice that the angel also had braids?
Yes, I did notice that. I thought it was beautiful. Just this movie was, it's gonna be hard to I know there's 30 something more movies for us to discuss, but I don't think the next 9-10 weeks we're gonna see something that tops this.
Not even Not even close. Not. I mean, I don't know how it could be better, especially when it comes to diversity. It comes to topics like
definitely something I will be rewatching for years to come.
I don't think it's a stretch to say this is perfection.
But I did relate to the little girl connecting with her dad and not. I mean, I have my mom. My mom's in my life. She's, alive. But she wasn't around as much when I was a little girl.
Yeah.
I had my female role model was my grandmother, my paternal grandmother. And so having, and then of course my stepmother. But having my bio mom for a while, that disconnect was there. I mean, we've connected more now that I'm an adult than I did when I was a kid, that's for sure. So I related to that little girl in the way that, she only had her dad kind of deal. I related to that. You see, like that's the way we talked with Catherine, and that conversation came up where even though this movie was definitely diverse, I mean, we're talking Boyfriend's Christmas Past, I could relate to it with the dad and her because I've lived it. Yeah. So I think, again, I felt that again. And I love seeing them show that more because it's more common than you think.
Yep. Anyway, okay. So that's it for this week's podcast. Y'all, this is a lot this week. God have mercy.
Okay, don't we need to just talk about what we're going to be doing
next week? Yes. So the Hallmark movies that are coming out this weekend, October 29th, the movie is called Christmas in Harmony, starring Ashley Murray and Luke James. Luke James is a Broadway music star. He's currently on Broadway right now called Thoughts of Colored People or something. I have never heard of Ashley Murray, but it does star Loretta Devine. So if you're a Grey's Anatomy fan, that name would look.
This movie is going to again highlight gospel music, black gospel music.
It's a whole. Someone on Twitter today said Hallmark has a history of hiring light-skinned Black people. I didn't even tell her she's wrong because I was like, yeah, I did a whole podcast about it. Because I 100% agree with you. But like, here's a whole movie full of dark chocolate.
Yes.
But it also stars Loretta Devine and Michelle Williams, so from Destiny's Child.
Yes. So actors who are really talented vocally.
So those are actually 2 of the 3 Destiny's Child members are on Christmas movies this year because Kelly Rowland.
I was about to say one of them's not Beyonce.
Yeah, I would be surprised if Beyonce ever does a Christmas movie. But Kelly Rowland is also doing Merry Little Christmas on Lifetime. So anyway, 10:30, October 30th is Coyote Creek Christmas. That is the one starring what is that? Janelle Parrish and Ryan Pavey. So that's a fun one. And both are Asian too, even though Ryan doesn't play Asian or look Asian. But that's and then 10:31 is Christmas Sale, and that stars Katie something. Jesus, what is her name? I can never get these people's name. I know Patrick Sabongui. I am probably screwing up his name too. And Katie Sackhoff.
Katie Sackhoff, as in the geek legend from Babylon 5. Or Stargate. Sorry, my brain is fried. Stargate, SG1.
Yeah, she did an interview with another podcaster this week And that they titled the podcast From Sci-Fi to Hallmark. And I'm like, I have never heard of this woman, so I guess I don't qualify.
Maybe because I'm a bit of a nerd. Like Big Bang Theory, she was in Big Bang Theory episode, and they highlighted her love, how men in near nerd culture loves that Katie Sackhoff. Yeah, so there's a whole episode about that. But yeah, I isn't Patrick Duffy in an movie this weekend?
Yes. Don't remember which one. But and then oh no, 10:30. That's the Hallmark Movie and Mysteries Christmas movie for next week, which airs on Saturday the 30th, is Christmas Promise, and that does star Patrick Duffy. That also stars Tori DeVito and Dylan Bruce. I know Tori did a Hallmark movie last year, but I don't know her past roles. I don't know Dylan Bruce's past roles either. And Patrick Duffy, I know him from Step by Step, right?
Yes. He was also on Dallas.
Yeah. But the newer Dallas, not the old Dallas.
No, the old Dallas.
Really? I didn't know that. Yeah. I thought he looked too young to be in the old Dallas.
Yep, the old one.
Anyway. I'm excited about this.
And of course, there's no Sunday night movie because Sunday night is Halloween.
Yeah, that's 10:31. That's the Christmas sale one that I said, which was
Christmas sale.
Patrick Sabelgui and Katie Sackhoff. God have mercy on Jesus. I hope and pray I am not screwing up anybody's name. I screw up people's name all the time. I just am reading the way it's spelled. I don't speak any of these people's languages.
No, you got her name right. That's for sure. So, in the midst of the fact that I will be on vacation the next 3 days, and Halloween, we will definitely be discussing these.
Well, I mean, how much procrastination are we gonna do? we have to get the podcast out next week too. But,
yeah.
Anyway, I will be releasing this first before Catherine's. So this is the very next podcast that you will be hearing from us is.
But yeah, our interview with Catherine was beautiful, and she is such a sweetheart. So
yeah, she's
love
fun.
Love having her on.
Fab shocked that she had a resident like.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, that is something I didn't know.
Okay. For those of you probably know that there's a connection. You can see my poster hanging over here on the wall over here. We do another podcast for the TV show The Resident, and Catherine read for a role that she didn't get, but read for a role playing the love interest of Matt Zucker's character in the upcoming 5th season.
That would have been a fun role if she had gotten it.
It would have been. We have connections to the lady that created that show, Amy.
I know. Be like, hey, Amy. Hello. Hi, Amy. How are you? So why did you choose Catherine Kim for a minute? Can you recast her for another role? Because, we just interviewed her for a Hallmark podcast. I was wondering if you could recast her for The Resident, and then we can interview her for The Resident as well. I know. But anyway, yeah. So that's about it for this week. See y'all next week. Again, we will be reviewing the first 2 Hallmark movies, which is Christmas in Harmony and Coyote Creek Christmas. Enjoy. Bye, y'all.
Bye.